Hello everybody, my name's Star Raptor, and this is my review of Season 6 of Game of Thrones. Just a reminder, this will include spoilers, so make sure you go ahead and watch the season before you watch this. Alright, so let's break things down by summarizing what happened in each of the major areas of the season. So, first off in the north we have Bran, who is learning more about how he uses warging abilities through the werewood trees to see through the past. And next up we have Jon Snow, who was killed in the ending of Season 5, but he actually gets revived this season, and he leads this campaign against the Boltons along with his half-sister Sansa to remove the Boltons from Winterfell. And going a little south, we have quite a bit of turmoil in King's Landing from the Faith Militant, and going head-to-head with that is Cersei, who in the end actually destroys all of her enemies in one fell swoop at the Sept of Baelor, and she subsequently becomes queen. Across the Narrow Sea, we have Arya Stark, who is training a la kind of like Daredevil, being blind under Jaqen War, and she finds out that she really is no one, but she is Arya Stark, and she returns to Westeros to begin her mission of revenge. First off her list is Walder Frey. And finally, in Meereen, we have the Daenerys storyline where she actually is able to unite the Dothraki, unite the Greyjoys, unite the Unsullied, and they are now going to go across the Narrow Sea and just wreak havoc across Westeros. So that is basically a summary of what really went down in broad strokes across Season 6. Get into my positives of this season. I first off want to talk about Jon Snow. He had an incredible journey. I mean, he goes from a dead man at the beginning of the season to King of the North. I mean, I never would have thought we would have had another one of those awesome chanting things where everybody's going, King of the North! I freaking love that. His story is such a great story of redemption, you know. We see horror when Ramsay takes over Winterfell, even kills Rickon, but Jon Snow comes back, he reclaims, you know, his homeland basically. I thought that was just an incredible, evocative story. On the opposite end of spectrums, we go to somebody who's pretty much evil, and we have Cersei Lannister, who I thought was going to die at the end of this season. I mean, the whole season we see her just, you know, getting just like put down, demoralized. No one really cares about her anymore. At one point, they even take away her right to trial by combat, so you know, yeah, she's pretty much a dead woman at that point. But like in Game of Thrones, you can't play by the rules, and she just takes everybody out with this brilliant plan, and even becomes Queen of Westeros. That's insane. Next up, we have Daenerys finally leaving Essos. I mean, this has been a long-going thing. I mean, honestly, since episode 1 of Game of Thrones, like, we've been wanting to see this character get over to Westeros, and now this last season, or season 5, was a little bit frustrating, and going into season 6 here with her being around Meereen. Like, please get out of Meereen already. You're not doing anything that's going to affect anything else. So it's great to see that she consolidated her power with all these other factions and armies, and they're all going to go over to Westeros and wreck it. Next up, I really enjoyed Bran warging with the werewood trees because it provided a really cool kind of plot device with which allowed you to go through flashbacks, because the creators Benioff and Weiss didn't really want to do flashbacks too much in this show, but this is one heck of a way to get around that, and it just being able to kind of change how the future is with his working abilities. Like, we've seen what happened with Hodor. Like, I thought that was just really brilliant. It kind of changed everything, really. Um, Another thing was the important characters coming back for the season. So, of course, we had people like Jon Snow, but we also had characters, you know, the Hound returning, which we thought was dead, and Benjen Stark. After season 1, this guy comes back. It's just like, whoa, this guy is actually Cold Hands, you know, from the books. Um, Now, my favorite episode would probably be the Battle of the Bastards. I mean, this was just like, on a technical level, this was incredible. I mean, this episode pretty much followed nothing but Jon Snow, although it did have a little bit of Daenerys' storyline. But just the Battle of Bastards, to me, was Just a masterpiece in television. Like it was like a Saving Private Ryan-esque battle where it was so visceral, just so intense. You really get like a perspective that you're on the battlefield, you know, trailing behind Jon Snow, bodies piling up in the battle. It's just unbelievable. Um, Also, you know, this is just another theme of Game of Thrones, is that you can't play by the rules to stay alive. I mean, look at the Hound. The guy tried to do the good thing, tried to live peaceful, like low-key farming life, and past comes back to haunt him, kind of like, you know, and he has to go and just take up the axe and go back to his old ways. You know, same by Cersei again. I mentioned before. She didn't get her way, so she's gonna do things her own way. Yeah, I mean, she couldn't get her way with you know, power and everything, so she goes behind the scenes and takes out her enemies that way. Next up, as I really enjoyed, now that this is the first season that it isn't based off of any of George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire epic fantasy series. Like, this is literally Benioff and Weiss are taking a ball and running with it. They're playing into some things we really wanted to see as fans watching this series, and just going to places we had no idea. So I'm really excited about this because I know when I read The Winds of Winter, which is the next book coming out, there is going to be so many things that are different. Like, I mean, already there's characters that are dead in this show that are probably going to be alive for the whole book series, and vice versa. So I am super excited that they took that risk, and it really paid off. Um, and finally, the season finale for me was a huge positive, especially trailing after an absolute amazing episode, The Battle of Bastards. I didn't think the show could really follow up on that, but it did, and it just tied up all the storylines so neat, so well. It felt like the ending of the middle of the series, and now going into season 7, we are gonna have the ending. I mean, this is it. All these factions are now at Westeros. There's not really anybody left at Essos at this point. Just everybody on that one continent, all these different alliances I never would have imagined would have happening, and it's all going to go down. It's going to be absolutely insane. Now, that being said, I really love this season, but I did have some really minor negatives, almost nitpicks really. First off is the characters travel way too quickly, some of them, going from place to place. I'm talking to you, Greyjoys. I mean, we had Yara and Theon. The geography of Westeros is you got the Iron Islands like on the other side of Westeros, so you got to travel all the way around the south of the coast and then go all the way over to Essos, and they did that in like one episode. That was a little bit far-fetched. And also with the season finale, we had Varys. That was one scene. He was at Dorne, and like 2 scenes later, he's back on the ship with Daenerys. So I felt like their time travel was a little crazy. I know they have to speed things along, but yeah, I really don't know how they could correct that other than just saying that they have some kind of teleportation spell or anything. And one other negative I have is about Dorne this season. I mean, generally, this has been the negatives of the season so far. As Dorne was in like 2 episodes. They probably had a total screen time of under 10 minutes for the whole season. Okay, Prince Dorne got killed, and then we've seen him again when Lady Olenna's talking about making a alliance and all that. I think they could have just done away with Dorne. They could have just like talked about it, you know, in an aside or something. So yeah, that's it. But that they are my negatives for season 6. Now, yes, this for me is hands down the best season of Game of Thrones yet. There are so many twists and turns that I would never said, and I think this is like again thanks to this not being based off the books. I myself, as a reader of the books, had no idea what was going to happen this season, so I had that huge element of surprise. I mean, and we also had people dying, but you know, people also returning, like Jon Snow. Like he just had this great thing happening, and I just cannot wait for season 7. Like this season had me on the edge of my seat. I was feeling like so many strong emotions watching this. I mean, the whole Hodor thing really got to me. But just seeing like Daenerys get out of Essos, Jon Snow returning and being triumphant over evil. There are some huge things that happen, so that's why I really think this is the best season of Game of Thrones. Guys, that is going to do it for my review of Season 6. If you didn't know, I also did recap shows for every one of the episodes, all 10 of them. I have Recap of Thrones, so you can check that out also on my YouTube page. But thanks for watching, guys, and winter is here. Did you enjoy this video? Then make sure you go ahead and hit that thumbs up symbol. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Subscribing to my channel will help me out, and it helps you guys out, keeping up to speed on all my latest content. Speaking of which, you can catch my weekly Star Wars show down over there. You can see a recent review I've done over there, and you can follow me on social media, Twitter @StarRaptor, as well as Facebook.com/StarRaptor.